It is my immense pleasure and my honor to welcome all of you here, all the dignitaries who have come far away, especially to make this event a very successful.
And now I would like to invite eminent speaker Yanick Séïde. Yanick Séïde, founder and CEO of Chrysalis Women Empowerment, is a certified master coach, facilitator, mentor, and international speaker. Her transformative coaching impact extends globally, gracing prestigious stages including the Global Research Conferences at King's College, Cambridge University. Her scholarly contributions, including a published paper in the esteemed Global Research Journal, reflect her commitment to advancing women's empowerment. Welcome, Yanick, to the stage.
Now, I have a question for you. How many of you have taken language training in high school? All right, so at the end of high school, were you fluent in your second language? Some of you were? Yeah. Well, I'll share my story with you quickly. My first language is French, and I took English in high school and did extremely well. So I thought I was bilingual until in one of my past lives, I joined the Navy between my gap year, figuring out what I wanted to do. I went with the Navy thinking, yeah, but all the training was in English. I thought, I can do this. And went to boot camp. Not much talking, so I survived that. Then I went to technical communication trade school. Well, did I hit a brick wall? What I learned at school didn't sound like what I heard in the classroom. And going to the task, going out in the city and trying to do things, it was not as easy because it seems like they talk really fast. Didn't sound like what I've heard at school. Anyway, so I would put words together that I knew. Sometimes it worked. Other times it got me in trouble or embarrassing situation. So that is my journey. And eventually I became bilingual, baptism by fire. I became a language instructor. This is one of my past lives. And I eventually was the manager of language training for the Royal Canadian Navy in Canada. So what I've observed and what I've done is what I'm going to talk about. So I will compare the traditional methods of community and the communicative method of teaching second language, the fundamentals of adult education, and integrating teaching methodologies that are aligned with adult education foundations. So most of us are used to the traditional method. It's grammar-focused, repetition, okay? You are given the grammar rules, and then you repeat after the teacher what's written on the board, and then you have the translation exercise to do, either it's verbal or you're given a written text and you translate, and then written exercise, which is often fill in the blank or complete the sentence or make a sentence with whatever. Versus the communicative method is focused on communication and real life use. So I'm talking about adult education. And what I used to say is that right now, I know you're a professional, very accomplished person, engineer, doctor, whatever, but right now you're a French baby. I say, babies learn to talk. They don't know the grammar, first of all. They see how it's applied. So this is how I'm going to teach you. Also, you have to be aware of the learning styles in your class, in the group of your participants. I would say for the visual, so you might have the visual later. Just trust me. I will have a chance for you to see things. We'll do things verbally first, so the auditory one, you will be happy. And then we'll be manipulating the language. So connecting learners, you will have that chance to. So just trust me. Forget your first language. Just absorb and accept what comes to you. It'll be a lot easier. So experiential learning. And also the role and interaction in meaningful context is part of the communicative approach. Now, the fundamentals of adult education foundations, or andragogy as Knowles has defined it. The first one is need to know. The adult learner wants to know why they are learning what they're learning. It's not just a download of information like we've been subjected when we were in high school. Download, remember, and produce what you know, what you've learned. Also, experience. The adult learner draws from their life experience into their learning. So we have to remember that and let them use their knowledge, their experience, and incorporate it into what you're teaching them. Self-concept is that they're participating in their own education, direct the way they learn, communicative. So you have, as an instructor, you have to be receptive that the learner might know a bit more how to learn and be receptive and help them. Readiness, the immediacy of using the language. Because you remember when we were in high school, we were given all these exercises and we repeat, but when are we really using it? So that is something that's incorporated in communicative approach. Problem orientation. The adult likes to solve problem. What is it that I'm going to solve learning this? And then the adult learner motivation is not, it's from the outside world, it's intrinsic, it's within them. This is what drives them. So those are the fundamentals, the foundations of adult education. Supporting learning, learner autonomy, which goes with self-direction in the foundations of adult education. So strategies to help them learn self-directed learning. You still are in the classroom, but you have to let them explore. So encourage the learner to direct their learnings to meet their needs. Exploring other learning opportunities outside of their classroom. For example, I had students who would go to the library and take a book in their target language on the topic they knew and read it. Although sometimes it was beyond their level of learning in class, they still were happy to be able to plow through it, even if it was not perfectly, because they had an understanding of what the topic was and were learning other vocabulary and structures that were not necessarily taught in class. And then they would come back and ask about it. See, intrinsic motivation, that's all about, and that helps put things in context. Next is providing the resource for independent learning, incorporating technology in language training. We talked about AI. For example, there are self-directed programs that exist already. For example, Duolingo and Rosetta Stone. And it's okay for them to explore, to either review structures that they've learned or to go beyond what was learned. That fuels their motivation and they get it in context. In Canada, we have some programs, some organizations have their own self-learning digital product that supplements the curriculum for the students to take home and review what they want to review on their own, or even sometimes go ahead of the modules if they're ready for it. And that's okay. Okay, self-directed learning. And then there's also some second language apps that they can use. And again, it's a supplement to what they're doing, and it doesn't hold them back if they want to learn more for that purpose. Now, task-based learning for practical language use. Example of that, depending on the level of the learners, what I used to do is to pair them with schools. So I had engineers, I had architects, or whatever trades. So depending on the level of proficiency, I would partner with the school and send the students and have them lead a project or do a presentation in their second language to the group. So it's a true experience. They get to use their knowledge, their experience that they already have in their profession, and use it in the second language in a true context and be challenged during the Q&A. And even when they were imperfect, they didn't see that. They only saw that, oh my goodness, I've done it. So that is one of the things I love to do. And for the ones, I have a little story. For the ones who were not, as adults, and I've been like that too, when we are corrected, sometimes we're not too receptive in repeating. No, you understand me. I said, no. It's like a mama understanding the baby. A French ear will not hear that. So, I would make them repeat. So what I used to do, I would send them to groups of students from grade primary to grade 2. The little ones. The truth comes from the little ones. And there was a story one time. This person was quite a high-ranking person in the company. And I saw him running towards the office where I was with one of the teachers. And the little kid was trying to pass him. He did. He said, Madame, he spoke in English. He said that in French. And the student said, no, I didn't. I said, what did you say? The kid said, je joue de la guitare. It should have been said, je joue de la guitare. And I repeated that. So that was a lesson, understanding from hearing the young child and me repeating it. Anyway, so that was a funny anecdote. But again, it's experiential. It's not just a teacher in front of the class telling you what to do. The native speaker, that high, told you were wrong. Anyway, so that's experiential learning. Project-based learning in real-world application as well. And tasks, so are the two. Giving a true example, let's say, and you draw from their experience. Let's say one of the students wanted to travel, and we were learning about taking direction or whatever. I would have them call an organization to get information to life. It's not an exercise in a book, repeat this. No, they had to talk to the native speaker, ask them what they want, and then be ready for the answer. And it was not always what they expected. It's not the classroom setting, but it really shaped their ear and also gave them confidence that they could use the target language by themselves without the teacher. Implementation of innovative methodology. Another thing is to have the learner talk about a topic that interests them. Instead of being provided by the teacher, we draw from the experience of the student we talked about, the adult learner, and they usually talk about something that is from their professional field. And that made them do research, because I was not providing all the vocabulary. I would give them some basic one, giving them some resources where they could find more information and prepare a presentation that they would do in the first language, but now they were able to do it in the second language. And next is Learners applies what they've learned in real life situation. Also, balancing communicative activities with grammar instruction. So we talked about communicative, and this is how a child learns at first, but at one point they need to know the grammar. But instead of being in in a blackboard or whiteboard now and writing it down, it was intrinsic. I would have them I would elicit from them what the rules are. 99% of the time, they figured it out because of the context that was provided, either a video clip or a radio clip or pictures, and they understood the concept. And then I asked them, what does that mean? What does that mean? How is this constructed? And now assessment and feedback. We use formative assessment. Usually it's not based on grades, and it provides an ongoing feedback for the teacher, the instructor, and the students. That gives the opportunity for the learner to say what would suit them better, what would help them learning better, versus, oh, I'd like more hands-on, or I would like more, could you give me some example, what radio stations I could listen to? So that gives a dialogue. And also they can talk about where they feel like they need some help, and the teacher, the instructor can help them and have a plan. And it's basically to provide feedback. There are no marks assessed to it versus the summative assessment. This is what we're used to, being scored against a benchmark, at the end of a unit, at the end of an exercise, or at the end of a chapter. And the balance between the two is what really helps the adult learner, because with the formative assessment, they have a say. They can express where they would need more work, identify their weakness and also their strength, and the discussion goes on between the instructor and the learner. So it's not, again, a download of information, it's a two-way street. So in conclusion, by incorporating the adult learner foundations, learning a second language can be fun, and it can be also authentic. It is not a daunting task. You're looking forward to learn something new and apply it immediately. Technology is a great tool to support language acquisition. There are all kinds of dictionary online, and also apps to supplement what they already learn in class at their pace, or if they want to go ahead. Aligning adult education foundation enhances learning, because if all those needs of the adult learner are met, they are much more receptive in what they're going to learn and absorb much more and be more comfortable. And the balance between the formative and summative assessment gives a more robust assessment and a better idea of where the student is, the learner is, and gives them more confidence because they have a chance to discuss where they feel that they need more work, so they don't feel like they're stuck or struggling. It's an ongoing process. So thank you for your attention. Any questions?
Is there a difference, like with adult learning and the attention span, and being able to learn the language?
There is always, people say, you cannot teach older adults. I've taught people in their 70s using that. The thing is, as the instructor, you have to see who are your learners and adapt to it. So if you know you have somebody who has less of an attention span, maybe my lesson plan will have more little things that demand less time. And also I take my cue from the body language. I take my cue. I'm constantly scanning the room. And also I ask the learner, is that working for you? Is that working for you? Checking in constantly. That's part. Read for 20 minutes, but I could speak about this for a whole day. But no, very good question. Thank you.
Yeah, from someone who's been learning French, I know for me the most improvement that's happened for me is every day 5 o'clock I speak with a native speaker on the phone. We just have a conversation, and it's not this, because of downloading like just remote, like the traditional, okay, learn the grammar, do this. It just wasn't sticking with me in French, but every day, and her talking as a native speaker in normal speed with me, I have far improved my French than anything.
And I forgot to mention, I did have mentors that I matched the students with as well. And within the first week, they could have little sentences, pretty broken, but because they had that exposure, and it's not a question of translating, it's concept for concept. Like a child learns, sometimes they learn what we don't want them to learn, vocabulary, because they see it in context. So that's why it works. Yeah, and very good example. Thank you for sharing. Yes?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much indeed for your talk. I just want to ask you, in regards to somebody with a special educational needs, how do you go about helping them and for them to progress in life, so to speak?
Very good question. I had a student who actually was mute. So I didn't expect the person to speak. He was communicating in writing, but I gave him all the same opportunities. But when he had to communicate verbally, he could do it with, at the time we did not have the scribe to speak, but even back in the days when there was none of that, that's how I assessed them. So they were still participating, just adjusting to their needs. And that's a case by case, because I think anybody can learn. So that was never an obstacle to me. I just had to figure out the best way. Oh, and also the first thing is ask them what would work. Because a lot of times they're the one who gave me the solution and I adapted my lesson plan to it.
Thank you for the incredible morning session. The next award goes to Yanick Séïde. Tell us, what was your experience here at GRC 2024 at Oxford University, and what was your greatest takeaway?
It wasn't the experience was invigorating, the energy, and also the sense of collaboration. That's one of my takeaways. We had so many great speakers, and as we got to know each other, we can see how we collaborate. So collaboration is one of my big takeaways from this experience at the conference.
Awesome. Thank you.